Credit. Thought they played well. Guards played well, so give them credit for the win here tonight. Thought our guys did some really good things. We just gotta do a few things a little better.
Are those things you have to do better? Free throws and rebounding, those were the two things Bruce immediately talked about.
Yeah, I think that we got to knock down a few more open shots too, Adam. I'll probably add that to the list, but certainly free throws and rebounding.
The way that they emphasize rebounding, you talked a lot about it coming in. When we just talked to Buzz, he mentioned how it's woven into the fabric of everything that they do. How does that impact a game like this when you're going against a team that, not to say that you don't prize rebounding, but
right.
It seems like they take it to maybe an even extra level. How does that impact a game?
Yeah, they've got they send their guards, they send their bigs, and I think they've recruited some really, Coleman's an older, big, physical, stronger kid, and their other 11 and 13 are really good, but Coleman's a really good rebounder, and obviously he's a kid who started at Duke and then transferred to their place. They've had him for a few years. He's smaller, but he's just a really strong, athletic, high motor kid.
Chris, you talked earlier this week about how this team needs to prove that it can shoot the three well. Did you like the shot selection tonight? Like, what do you need to see more from the perimeter shooting?
I would say I liked the shot selection for the most part. I thought we had some guys take a couple loose ones that I did not like. Some of it was just, I think, a couple new guys. We had a couple just that I didn't like, but for the most part, I liked our shot quality. I really did.
And then at the end of the first half, they went on that run there. Coleman, as you mentioned, kind of took over a little bit inside. What was challenging about that part of the game, would you say?
Well, their guards put you in a really difficult spot, so we were changing our ball screen coverage. We went from a couple different coverages that we typically do, and that freed him up when you're putting two on the ball to 4 and 23. So he was able to make some plays in the middle of the floor against our ice, and he was also able to make a couple floaters over size.
What does it take to have a better night, defensive rebounding? Is it just a matter of, box your man out, or is there a mentality thing? Is there more to it than that?
I think a lot of it was their guards got loose for us, so we had a secondary defender come and make a play on the ball, so we're leaving one of their better rebounders open. I think that was a significant part. We had a hard time guarding the ball. When you can't guard the ball, it puts your defense in jeopardy, and I think it begins right there. We just had trouble guarding the ball. The secondary guys had to come over and make plays. We were able to block some shots, but we also gave up some offensive rebounds.
When you say trouble guarding the ball, are those things, had you seen some of those issues, I guess, in practice or in some of the scrimmages? Just, are you talking about like staying in front of guys, or can you elaborate a little more on what you mean?
No, I think we had trouble directing the ball in our ball screen coverage at times, and then we had trouble just in isolation situations keeping the ball in front of us. 23 and 4, they're good players. They hit some tough shots, but there were other times where there were too many straight line drives, and when you do that, your secondary defenders are going to have to commit, and when they do commit, you leave good rebounders at the basket open. On top of that, they're sending 3 or 4 to the glass. But there were a couple long rebounds where we didn't hit guys in watching some of the game, but a lot of them came from just having trouble keeping those two guys in front.
And how does that challenge you as you're trying to maybe change things up, or just you mentioned switching ball coverages or ball screen coverages, but how does that, when you have guys that are struggling with those things, how does that make it different or difficult to try to change up what you want to do?
Well, when I say struggling, I mean they're good players, so I don't want to put it just on the fact that I do think we didn't connect the ball enough on ball screen coverage, but they're good players, and they put pressure on your defense. And again, that opens up things for their offensive rebounders, and that's where they got us. We just have to do a better job at shrinking and spacing off guys that we can shrink the floor off of, and I thought we did an okay job of that. We can do better at that. Because it's not like they had 4 3-point shooters out there at times. So all that stuff we can improve on.
Buzz was just up here, and he said you guys did a really good job of penetrating tonight, which you're the coach, not me, but I think that's a sign of a very physical team. How encouraging is it, second game of the season, to get that kind of praise and being a physical team or showing signs of a physical team from a really good coach of a really good team?
Yeah, no, I thought we had, good physicality for the most part. We knew it was going to be a physical game. They're a very physical team. They've got older, stronger bodies, and they're a physical group. Give Buzz and his team a lot of credit. I give them a lot of credit. They've got a good team. And they're physical, and they play through their guards, and their guys play their roles really well. You can tell they went on that run towards the end of the season. They've got guys that really understand their roles well. But I thought it was a physical game, and I thought at times, they beat us to a couple things, but I thought we were pretty physical throughout the stretch of the game. And I thought our reads when we drove the ball were really, really, really good. We had some exceptional one-mores and reads when they collapsed defensively.
I assume when you schedule a game like this, win or lose, there's going to be things to learn from against an opponent like that. How important is it to turn this into a learning thing for these guys going forward?
Yeah, I think we're going to say that about every game here early, but certainly ones where you're playing a team of this caliber. But, I think we were able to really learn some things from Oakland. We play a very good, as I mentioned, mid-major team in Merrimack coming up here that will present a different style, and we need to be ready. We'll learn from that opportunity. But this one certainly gives us some things to take, and there are some takeaways. Certainly our ball screen coverage needs to tighten up.
And Bruce in the second half had to take over offensively. I don't know if that was defensively what they were doing or just he felt the need, but he's talked about other guys getting involved scoring, and that this team has plenty of guys who can score. How much do you need that especially in a game like this, not just one guy doing a lot of that offensively?
Yeah, I thought we could have, I think the ball, we just felt comfortable with the ball being in his hands. And with the way they play, I think he was able to both get to the line and get to the basket at times. But we do need some other guys to be able to make plays and score the ball. And we need some guys that have played well in stretches for us right now earlier in the season that just aren't playing quite as well right now. We just need those guys to grow into what we believe they can be.
Jamison, foul trouble. He played 23 minutes. I don't know how many minutes you'd like to get out of him a night, but his foul trouble, you probably like to have
30.
more. You'd like to have about 30.
Yeah.
So what impact is that foul trouble and missing those 7-8 minutes out of him?
Shooting, I think shooting and scoring, and he's getting more committed to rebounding. I think we needed his shooting on the floor, because they're going to give you open threes. Their defense is built, and they're going to give you some open threes. It's just how they play. You got to be able to knock them down, and having him off the floor, I think hurt us. While he was on the floor, he did some good things.
I don't even think there was a three-pointer made in the second half by either team, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So that part of the game, obviously, you say you want it to get better. If you hit a couple threes, maybe you stay close, but what do you feel like? It was tied with 7-something to go, and then they didn't really pull away, but they got just enough.
Yeah, I think it was a 4-point game with 2 minutes to go, maybe.
What was kind of the difference in those last?
We put their best free throw shooter on the line. We didn't always convert at the line quite enough. I think those two things come to mind right now. We had a couple. We had an offensive rebound put back too. That created just enough separation.
It looked like there was a stretch there early in the first half, or maybe it was late in the first half. Just a few minutes, you had Scotty and Devin on the floor. It looked like both of those guys did some good things, and it also looked like there was a few moments where maybe the game sped up on them a little bit. Right now, how confident are you rolling those guys out even together against high-level competition like this?
Yeah, I think I have to be aware of that, and I have to be aware of making sure that we're putting those guys. I think it does help if they're around some older guys and some experienced guys early in the season, not just in a game like this, but certainly in a game like this. I think it just will allow them to play, a little more comfortably, and they have to understand that too. So there'll be stretches where we just need to do that. I think some of that had to do with Jameson's foul trouble, but if we can do it where we have those guys around older guys, that would be the preference. Any other ones?
At this early stage of the season, where do you think you are as far as figuring out lineups that can contribute at both ends of the court, and not having a lineup out there where the ball's going to stick or there's not enough guys that can consistently score for you but can maybe defend?
I think it's a work in progress, Adam, right now. I think it's a work in progress. I think the rotation we have now could look different in a month, and it could look very similar too. I don't know if I'm ready to make any decisions right now. It's kind of like practice to practice and game to game. We'll see how guys are performing. We had some guys that played well against Oakland that struggled tonight, and then we had some guys that I thought played well against Oakland that had a really consistent night tonight and played well and did some good things. I thought Zed gave us a good lift off the bench again. Was pleased with that. But, I think we're a ways away from kind of settling in any type of rotation. All right, guys.